Yo, welcome everyone, Sanjay Uchiha here. So welcome back to another Boruto discussion segment, coming fresh off reading Boruto Manga chapter 38. Well, I would have put that video up yesterday. Be sure to check that review of mine out. I would appreciate it. Of course, today we'll be discussing the events or the possible events of Boruto Manga chapter 39 and beyond. So be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate the support on this journey to 1,000 subscribers, guys. But let's get right into it. Needless to say, this video will contain spoilers for anime only watchers and for those of you who haven't actually caught up or read Boruto Manga chapter 38. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into today's discussion. So with the events of Boruto chapter 38, we've come interestingly close to what seems to be the Boruto time skip. As we all know, at the beginning of the series, chapter 1 or episode 1, whether you're an anime or manga reader, we know that we began the series with a flash forward showcasing a destroyed Konoha village and a fight between Boruto and what, at this point we can only assume to be Kawaki for good reason, especially if you've been reading the manga at this point and paying attention. Now, the basis for this video, guys, is that, with everything that's been put in place as of chapter 38, Naruto being sealed away by Ishiki Otsutsuki, who we formerly thought was actually quote-unquote Jigen. Of course, that little mystery or, relationship still needs to be explored more and explained more in terms of the dynamic between who Jigen really is and Ishiki Otsutsuki. But the point is, with Naruto being sealed away, and Boruto being left to actually find a way to level up to even come remotely close to Jigen, and Sasuke basically on the verge of death at this point, we're at a point where it seems like if anyone were to make the guess or speculation that Naruto actually might stay sealed for the next 3 to 4 years in the timeline, I couldn't actually argue with that and outright say that it's nonsense, because at this point, who's going to actually save Naruto? That's one thing to really even consider. But is the time skip really, are we really that close to the time skip? My answer to that is like yes and no. Yes, we've started to get some setup for what we know should be happening after the time skip, which isn't much, just the fact that we know that Konoha will be destroyed and Naruto is going to be sealed. We got the Naruto sealed part out of the way, but there are a few things that say still need to happen before we actually get into the time skip. Of course, I could be wrong, obviously, because this is only speculation, only discussion with you guys. But at the same time, there's still a few things that I feel need to be explored. If it's even for 5 more chapters before the start of the time skip, at least that amount of chapters need to go by to explore these things that I feel need to happen before we get into the time skip. I feel they're going to be crucial to the story. So, as I said, we already have Naruto being sealed out of the way. That's one. The second thing is the main character, Boruto Uzumaki, and his path, his how should I even put it, his pathway to growth or his rise to power. Now, the thing that looking back on part 1 of Naruto, when it was time for the time skip to happen, there was a clear indication of how Naruto was going to go from point A to point B in power. Yeah, he had Jiraiya to train him, and we know he's going to go up for this amount of time to train, and we expect him to be at another, like, a totally different level by the time he comes back. At this point, by the end of chapter 38, yes, we know Boruto has karma, etc, etc. He doesn't have great control over it, so that's not another thing to consider. But we don't know. At this point, Sasuke is out of commission. For all we know, they could temporarily write Sasuke out of the story temporarily, even though that's not going to happen based on how chapter 38 ended. but Sasuke may be out of commission for a while. We don't know what's gonna happen. Will Kawaki, how things will even resolve with Kawaki at this point? Will he stay in the village? Will the members of Kara come and get him? Will Jigen come and get him? We don't know what's gonna happen. We don't know how Boruto is gonna rise to power, and there needs to be a clear indication of how that's going to happen. And Boruto is just one aspect of it. With the fact that Jigen is so powerful, and even though I don't expect the members of Kara to be that ridiculously powerful like Jigen, but they're comparable to Naruto and Sasuke at the same time. So the question now begs the question, and I've probably approached this or talked about this in some shape or form before, is the new generation characters like Sarada and Mitsuki. How will characters like, you know, those two, to say the least, rise to power? What's their training going to entail? These are characters that are basically fan favorite characters, quote unquote, or at least characters that people feel should have been the main characters. So it would be stupid, or it would be a missed opportunity for the writers to actually not start outlining what these characters are going to be doing to actually rise to power. Else it's going to become the Naruto and Kawaki show, and the Boruto and Kawaki show, and for the most part it already is, which includes Naruto and Sasuke. But as time goes on, we need to expand into other characters. I know for the most part this story isn't going to be as long as Naruto, but if it's even the main team, to say the least, we need to expand to Mitsuki and Sarada and see what they're going to be doing in terms of rising to power, if you get what I mean. So characters like Mitsuki, we need to explore more on his sage mode, see him interact with Orochimaru a little bit, probably introduce some conflicts between characters like Sarada and Mitsuki, and probably some members of Kara, for instance, just to kind of get a clear idea, or at least establish some motivation, some drive for those characters to go on some path, so we can have an idea of what they're going to do to actually become stronger. Because at this point I don't think we're ready for the time skip yet. We're getting there, honestly. Naruto being sealed is a major indication that we're getting close to the time skip of Boruto. So yeah, there's definitely that. Boruto, Sarada, Mitsuki, those characters and what they'll be doing to train. I mean, obviously we can make very educated guesses. For all we know, even Sasuke, once he heals up, he could go to boot camp and train these characters for the next 2 to 3 years. But we at least have to have some motivations for these characters before going to the time skip. For instance, take characters like, you know, Choji and Neji and Kiba and Tenten. Well, probably not Tenten. What am I talking about? But you know, characters that were the side cast for part 1 Naruto. When the mission with Sasuke failed, all those characters that were involved, like, they got this new motivation, this new drive to become stronger, and that's what I'm looking for before going into the time skip for Boruto. Now, apart from the motivations of the characters, Kara, we need to know more about them. I know, similar to part 1 Naruto, we didn't get much about the Akatsuki in part 1. We just had just enough to, you know, whet our appetites with characters like Itachi and Kisame. And it's, for the most part, it does seem like it's a similar case in this case, this story, with characters like Kashin Koji, Delta, and even the leader himself, Jigen, Jigen or Ishiki Otsutsuki, coming in. But for the most part, I think the most reasonable thing to expect is getting more out of Kashin Koji before the time skip, if it's even a chapter or 2. So there's that to look forward to as well. I hope Kashin Koji is going to be a major player in determining how this story goes pre-time skip and, you know, post-time skip, depending on if he lives to after the time skip. So there's that to think about as well. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think the time skip is close at hand? Based on what I've said, I can say it's yes and no. Yes, because Naruto being sealed is a major indication that we're getting there, but I feel like there's just certain motivations for certain characters, especially our main character, from a power standpoint, at least in terms of how they're going to progress into the time skip. So I don't know. Let me know what you think, because right now it's looking very grimy in terms of how things are going to go after this whole fight between Naruto, Sasuke, and Jigen. So yeah, time skip coming up. Let me know what you guys think. Rate, comment, subscribe, and look out for more discussions coming up. Leading up to Boruto chapter 39, people. See you guys in the next one, and be sure to check out my review for chapter 38, I suppose. So yeah, see you guys in the next one. Hope you guys have a great day.